evening and hi everyone. Welcome to our pillow talk titled Drugs, Lifestyle, Chill or Crime. Hopefully you've had your dinner and like me, you're chilling at home wearing your comfiest pajamas. So as an introduction, I'm Hanna and I'm from PELUANG, People's Action Group for Change. We're a community-based initiative and we advocate for an end to the war on drugs. We hope to do this by starting positive conversations and mobilizing communities towards understanding and implementing evidence-based drug policies in Malaysia. So hopefully our chat tonight is one of the ways that we hope to do this. A bit of context. Support Don't Punish is a global advocacy campaign held annually on June 26th. And what it does is it mobilizes against violence, discriminatory policies, and the war on people, calls for drug policies to be based on health, human rights, harm reduction, and development at the core. So PELUANG celebrated this day by holding Malaysia's very first Support Don't Punish Week. And we did this with our incredible friends at Ceria, Nafnang Pengasih, SLED, Ayaku Dr. G, and Malaysian AIDS Council. Some exciting stats to share with everyone. This week, we've spoken to more than 200 people, and we've helped spread the word to more than 6,000 viewers in Malaysia and counting. We're only just getting started. So please follow us on our social media. Visit our website, pilihpeluang.my. Yeah, you can see at the bottom of the screen there. And join us as we, the community, end the war on drugs together in Malaysia. General housekeeping rules. Our aim tonight is to have a healthy, positive conversation on drug use, as well as the communities that drug use affects. The golden rules apply. Please be respectful at all times. No recording is allowed, and feel free to ask questions in the comments and we'll address them when we can. Okay. So before we get started, a quick poll to have a feel of the room, just a quick mood check. I believe all people who use drugs need to go to prison or compulsory detention. We've got 4 answer choices. Agree, kind of agree, but need more information. Kind of disagree, but need more information. Disagree. So please feel free to vote, or please do vote. All voting is completely anonymous, so we won't know who votes. So let us know your thoughts. Okay, just having a check. That's cool. So for those who have just joined the room, welcome, welcome. We're just getting started. You'll see a poll question on your screen. Please feel free to vote. There are 4 options. The voting is completely anonymous and it'd be great if you could have your say. And we'll address the results in just a bit. Yeah. That's great. For those who have just joined, please share the video with your friends and family so they can join us as we're about to welcome our guests to join us. Yeah, that'll be great. If there's anything you'd like, any thoughts or any views you'd like to share, please do comment and we'll see when we can get there. Results will be up in just a moment. Oh, interesting. So the results that I have with me, agree 0%, kind of agree 21%, kind of disagree 16%, disagree 63%. So that's quite encouraging on the disagree line. We'll see if we can get that higher at the end of the session and we'll see how it changes then. Okay, so thanks so much everyone for your votes. So without further ado, that's enough from me. So welcoming our guests for tonight. So tonight we've got 3 great people joining us. Yes, hello, hi everyone. Okay, we've got
Hi.
Leah, Gloria, and Mizz Nina. So I think it would be great if everyone can introduce themselves. Perhaps Leah, you could go first.
Okay, sure. Assalamualaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hi, everyone. My name is Leah Nashita. You can call me Leah. I am 32 years old and currently in my fourth year of active recovery. I am a former client and also a former employee of Persatuan Pengasih Malaysia, which is an NGO focusing on drug rehabilitation and treatment. Currently still volunteering with them, although I'm not working full time with them anymore. Also pursuing my degree in psychology in my final year now, Alhamdulillah. I am also a corporate trainer, a certified trainer, and running my own training company now. So that's all from me and what I'm doing right now. So I'm very happy and grateful and honored to be part of this talk tonight. Because looking at the poll results earlier, it's very encouraging, and it's great that um, this is people are more open about talking about this today, and it's no longer a taboo topic, so to say. So I'm happy to be part of this. Thank you for having me.
And we're happy that you're here with us. Thank you so much, Leah.
Yeah.
Gloria, do you introduce yourself?
Hi everyone. So I live in Thailand in Bangkok, and I work for an NGO called the International Drug Policy Consortium. So we're a network of NGOs around the world that advocate for drug policies that are grounded in harm reduction, public health, human rights, development. And I work as the regional director for Asia. So my work focuses mostly on Southeast Asia, even though it's technically supposed to be broader. But Asia is a very large continent, as you know. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Gloria. Welcome. And lastly, we've got Mizz Nina.
Hi, Assalamualaikum, everyone. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So I think I'm the only one who doesn't have, I'm not like on my bed with a pillow behind me. So
not too late. Not too late.
I know.
I have one here.
I'll probably grab a pillow, but I have one like right over here. But so hi everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Shazrina Azman, but I also go by the name of Mizz Nina. I'm from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I'm 40 years old, Alhamdulillah. I run a few companies. I have an app called Qalbi app. It's an Islamic lifestyle app. I'm also part of Min Qalbi Foundation, which has been just recently set up last year, which focuses on humanitarian work and also business empowerment. And I'm currently a student of knowledge. I study online. It's one of my passions of just continuous studying and in bettering myself. And yeah, I was invited to be here. Girl talk, pillow talk, because I really want to learn from all of you. And hopefully bring some hope out to everyone who's watching tonight. Shed some light. And yeah, have a good conversation, inshallah. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nina. And on that point, we'd also like to thank, special thanks to Nafnang for inviting Ms. Nina to join us tonight. So Nafnang is the leading influencer and content marketing company in Asia, and we at PELUANG are so honored to be working with them for this week and for future events to come. So thanks everyone for introducing yourself. I'm so excited for everyone everyone tuning in right now to get to know everyone here better as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to introduce our theme for tonight. So the Pillow Talk is titled Drugs, Lifestyle, Chill, or Crime. So the thought behind that was drugs. Is it a lifestyle? Is it used as a means to enjoy and have fun? Or is it a condemned willful vice that requires punishment? So I'd love for any one of you to share your thoughts on that. What do you see drugs as?
Okay, who's going?
Can I go first? All right. So I think lifestyle, chill, or crime is basically related, I guess, because some people it is part of their lifestyle. Some people they use it to chill, and unfortunately, in some cases, it leads to criminal acts. Also, I think it's in today's conversation. I think when it comes to addiction, substance use disorder, I think it's the lifestyle chill or crime does not really how to say address does not really address the fact that we need to look at addiction and substance use disorder as a public health issue, because currently that's what's going on in the society. People say it's lifestyle, people say, oh no, it's just for chill, and some people say it's completely a crime. But um, personally, from my point of view, when it comes to addiction and substance use disorder, it's a public health issue. So yeah, I think it's a good conversation.
I like how
Yeah.
you said
Oh,
that.
What do you think,
Yep,
Gloria?
sorry.
Miss Nina?
Go on, Miss Nina.
Miss Nina.
no, yeah. When you gave me the options of is it lifestyle, crime, or chill, and I'm like, are there any more options?
Yeah, there are. I was definitely
Because
thinking.
I'm like, yeah, because yeah, sure, lifestyle is one thing, but is it right? Is it the right kind of lifestyle to have?
Right?
Um, right, and then chill. Okay, yeah, people use it to chill, but then it'll probably end up, going somewhere else where which is quite dangerous. And then crime, yeah, it is a crime. It depends on how what you're talking about. And then from my point of view, I feel that there has to be, yeah, you're right, it's definitely a public health issue. It is something that we need to really look into to see how we can look at it as, what, actually maybe drugs are not good, but there are certain drugs that we have to take, for example, for medicational uses and things like that. So
True.
definitely these conversations need to be had, and I feel like there should be more options here for us to choose from.
Mhm.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
I was definitely thinking of we hear a lot of in terms of methamphetamine, because it's a drug that it's one of the most common drugs in the region now. Certainly is in Thailand, and we hear how people use it as part of their job. You hear that a lot. People who need to stay awake for long periods of time, and sometimes, or we hear from people who do sex work as well, and sometimes they're with clients, and the client wants them to use methamphetamine with them as part of it, as part of the experience. And then we're also hearing more from people from our LGBT community as well about. I guess that's maybe that's could be more seen as lifestyle, I guess. But I feel like drugs. I mean, it's such a complex issue. It's always you can't really simplify it. And yeah, I love how Miss Nina, you pointed out about how it's used for medicine. And yeah, I guess it really helps bring up how drugs itself is seen as this, helps us question, why is it seen as this dangerous, evil thing, bad thing, when it actually has many benefits as well, I guess.
There's also a very thin line between use and abuse, right? So even like normal painkillers, people use it for medication. It's prescribed, legally prescribed, but there are cases that people abuse it, and there are medications such as Adderall, Ritalin is prescribed for people with ADHD, but it's being abused, and it turns into dependency, and it turns into addiction. So it's very difficult to just classify it as
Categorize
one thing.
into-
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing that. And I think that brings us to quite an exciting portion of the night. So we've all shared our thoughts on what we view of the theme. So firstly, want to say hello to our new viewers. So please share the video out to your friends and family. Hello, Katrina, Lily, Ika, Shah, Faiz. Welcome to our conversation. So now we're moving on to, I like what Ms. Nina said about earlier about, not all drugs are bad, but there are common misconceptions. So let's have a quick poll exercise of fact versus fiction. The first question, all drugs are bad, fact or fiction? So I think, so please do vote. Rest assured, your voting, everything's anonymous. We don't know who you are, but we'd love to hear what you think. There's a timer on the screen, which is about 50 seconds left. So I suppose while we wait for the results to come in, I'd like to ask Ms. Nina about the earlier point, but not all drugs are bad. Why do you think, though, there is that people automatically think it is? What's your thoughts on that?
I guess, because drugs is such a huge topic, right? As Gloria was saying, it's I mean, you have drugs for different types of diseases, different types of sicknesses, and then of course you got those drugs which are party drugs. You have drugs that they serve different purposes, and I think that sorry, what's your question again? I always do this. I start thinking about
No.
something somewhere else.
It's probably my
She
fault
just
as well.
went
I'll be
too
like,
fast.
yeah. No, it's okay. I just say 5 sentences and the questions get muddled inside. So no worries about that. So I wanted, my question was just following up from what you said earlier about, not all drugs are bad, but why do you think there are a lot of people who do think all drugs are bad? Yeah. Yeah.
And also, yeah, I guess it's all about education and awareness. I think maybe because when we grow up, we see all these like really scary signs. Back in the 80s and 90s, there used to be all this like dada, and it's like everything's bad. But I think it's all about information. If we learn more information about this topic, I think things will be a lot more clearer. I think. But yeah, because. Just to share with you, back in the day, of course, I had my fair share of experiences with these type of things, right? Friends and even my own personal experiences. And, now when I look back, I know that, in my belief, in Islamic belief, we know that whatever that changes the state of mind is actually something that is not so good, right? And, we have to understand, we have to classify what is good and what is bad, and yeah, it's a really tough thing to talk about because at the end of the day, sometimes we do need medication, right, to help us out, right, but not to the point that we become completely dependent on it. Perhaps it helps us to recover, it helps us to get better, and then inshallah we just live a nice, healthy, holistic life. I'm all for living healthy, being healthy mind, healthy heart, healthy soul, and that's how I would love to live my life. That's how I would like to share with other people as well, to try to live their lives in the best way that they can. But coming back to the topic of drugs, there you go. It's a difficult topic. Maybe we can ask some doctors as well in terms of what drugs are good and what drugs are not good. Like sometimes we have to take hormonal drugs to be able to achieve a certain thing that we want. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
I think.
Yeah,
no,
that
does. It's. I
Sisters,
think
can you please help me?
I think it's like sums up what Miss Nina said. There's a very, very thin line between use and abuse. Like a very good and required medication can turn into something bad when you're dependent and abusing it. So it's a very difficult conversation.
Yeah.
I think that encompasses the topic of drugs very well as well. I don't think there's ever just one right answer, right? There will always be like a huge spectrum of people with different opinions. So I hope
it's always
our chat
depending
tonight,
on context, right?
Yes. I think
the case to case thing.
I just saw that the results are in for the first question. So interestingly, I mean, I think it's quite expected that a lot of people know that this is a fictional statement. So we have 93% who say, not all drugs are bad, but 7%, there's still a 7% that do think they are. And I like what Miss Nina said earlier about, in the 80s, we thought, oh, dada is bad, right? Which brings us to our next poll question. So I think for some context for people who just joined us, we talk a lot about the war on drugs. So I think if I could sum that up in a sentence, it's a movement, or rather it is imposing penalties, very punitive measures, a very punitive view about drug substance use disorders, rather than encouraging support, encouraging medical treatments and things like that. It's all about punishing them, sending them to jail. So this is what we call the war on drugs. So just some context. So that brings us to the second poll question: the war on drugs bring more harm than good? Fact or fiction? So while our voters vote, so again, all votes are anonymous. Please do vote. I'd like to hear what Gloria thinks of this statement. I think, you've been in this line of work for years, for decades, right?
Yeah.
So what could you share some of your views on this?
Yeah. I mean, we definitely believe that it brings more harm than good. Yeah, I mean that's also why. We're strong supporters of the Support Don't Punish campaign. Is our biggest one of our biggest kind of like things each year. And I guess and I think maybe I felt what really helped open my mind more and more is to, in the end, is trying to understand more, why did this come about? Like you kind of think like the war on drugs and to start questioning why did this come about? And it also helps to answer the question, why are drugs seen as bad? Like if people do see them as bad, why are they seen as bad? And when you kind of look back at, like, there hasn't always been a war on drugs, and drugs weren't always seen as bad, but drug use has been around for as long as we know in terms of the history of humankind. You know, like when you think of like all human cultures, like many cultures have, make their own type of alcohol, for example. So I mean, the definition of a drug is something that essentially makes you like high, I guess. Yeah. So psychoactive substance. So caffeine, sugar, it gives you a rush, high. Those are all like technically, with scientific definition, are drugs. Of course, alcohol is as well, and tobacco is as well. And why is it that some drugs are considered bad and not others? Of course, it depends on cultural context as well. Why is it that some people feel that it's up to them to decide whether it's good or not for someone to be using drugs? Do you know what I mean? And I think those are kind of good questions to ask. And I think maybe just to emphasize the point around the prohibition of drugs as we know it has been around only not that much longer than 100 years. Like, I mean, alcohol was prohibited at some point, and then it obviously didn't work in the US, and that was with, but then later on it followed colonialism, the European powers coming to Southeast Asia, to East Asia, India, China, the growth of the opium industry that was really driven by the UK government, the British, the UK, and Britain, and then the colonial powers also came in wanting to profit from it because they wanted to take things from Asia, and they needed something to exchange for that, and that was, and opium was seen as this kind of great answer for that, and that led to lots of different kind of like political and economic interactions and conflict between countries, but also within countries as well. And that led to opium being prohibited, and then shortly after, all these other substances. And I think cannabis maybe is something maybe more of us can identify with now, because you see the changes happening in cannabis. Like it was once, not too long ago, it's like scheduled, and it still is actually scheduled as a substance that is as harmful as heroin, but many
higher, greater drugs, right?
Sorry?
Dangerous drugs, like it's categorized in the same level as more dangerous drugs,
than heroin. Yes, yeah. And then now people are finding out more, and scientific research is showing up more. So I think, I would just encourage asking more questions, like why is it that we think about drugs the way we do now? Where did it come from, and who told us to think this way?
I think that's something we have to actively think as well, right? Oh, sorry, I just noticed that the results of the thank you so much, Gloria, for that. Something to think about. To share the results of the second poll question: fact, 83%; fiction, 17%. So there's still 17% that think war on drugs, good thing, better than, it's great, it's better that we have it than not at all. It's quite interesting. Let's see if that changes. So now we have one final poll question. Someone with substance use disorders or addiction can choose to get out of it. So somebody, they can just choose to not be addicted. Fact or fiction? Please let us know what you think. So I'd love to hear.
Fiction.
Yeah, what do you think? without a beat, that's great.
So it's we know that substance use disorder or addiction is a disease. It's a chronic relapsing brain disease. So saying that someone with addiction can simply choose to get out of it is like saying someone with a kidney disease can just choose not to be sick anymore. So it's not possible. It's what they can choose is they can choose to seek for help, they can choose to reach out for help, but they can't just choose to get out of addiction. It's a disease. It requires treatment and it requires constant care and like a long-term maintenance. When I say I'm currently in my 4th year of active recovery, I'm not healed. I'm not completely cured. It's treatable. I'm managing it, and it's a daily battle to say. So to have all these years of recovery means that every day I wake up and I choose to stay in recovery. So choosing to just simply get out of addiction is just not possible. It's like I said, it's like telling someone to just choose to get out of whatever other disease that they have. So yeah.
But your choice was important in the sense, Leah, that if like no one else could have made that choice for you to stay in recovery. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you think so? Like if someone had forced you into a room and locked you up and wouldn't allow you access to any substances, like
you may go into withdrawal, you may not be using because you're locked up, but you're not treating the disease, you're not treating the illness. So again, I always use this context of let's just compare it to another chronic disease. I always say kidney disease or anything that requires like long-term management, like cancer and stuff like that. So if you just someone who requires dialysis, like constant treatment, right? If you lock that person up, that illness is not going away. It gets worse.
Swept under the rug. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the same with substance use disorder. It requires treatment. It requires that's why we say active recovery, because you actively choose. It's a conscious decision to be in recovery every day. There are things like we say, there are do's and don'ts. It's like when you have diabetes, that you can live a normal life, but there are pantang larang. You can't eat this. You're supposed to cut down on like sugar and stuff. So it's the same with people with substance use disorder. You're in active recovery. There are things that you need to avoid. There are people, places, things that could be a trigger. So you avoid those things. So it's called active recovery for a reason. So yeah, you can't just choose.
Mizz Nina, any thoughts on that? Please share this.
Well, okay lah, buka cerita sikit ya. Meaning like I'm going to open story a bit lah. So I think I recovered as well. I think about 20 years ago. It was a very long time ago. So I understand the process of active recovery. I understand that it doesn't help that if you're going through a particular addiction and relapsing, that locking a person up with that kind of condition is definitely not going to help. But I do understand and I do know through experience that having a family who understands you helps. A family who loves you, who knows what you're going through, really, really helps. Family, number one, and then having friends who understand you, who actually step in and say, hey, what you're doing, you're killing yourself. So I need to step in. They intervene for you, even though you hate them at that time, but then they love you. That's why they do it, right? Loving relationship. You will love them, in years to come because you did the right thing. Friends, right? Environments, exactly what Leah said. You need to take care of your environments, where you go, who you hang out with, what are you doing, right? So it's a whole complete lifestyle change, and that takes years. It takes a lot of years, and I think that having a good rehabilitation place, people, good people to surround you with, it will really help addicts, I think. Anyone who's going through any kind of addiction. I don't think jail is really going to help much unless they have, really good like programs in there, which I have no idea. Probably not. I don't know. Right? No. Gloria's like,
Yeah.
no.
Nope.
Everybody's like,
I'm gonna say no.
No. And that's why we're here to talk about it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So a person who goes through addiction definitely has the power and choice to want to get better, but she or he cannot do it alone. I don't think there's any way that she or he can do it alone. You have to do it with somebody with you, whether it's your friend or your family, or it's a center, your counselor. At the end of the day, it's going back to the essence of who you are as a human being, right? Just trying to be a healthy human being. And at the end of the day, of course, for different people, we have different inspirations. Like for me, along the way, I found God again, and Islam was a way which helped to heal me, and helped me, out of a lot of the things that I was doing, back in the day, la dulu la. But before even is practicing Islam, the first thing that really helped me with getting out with those type of addictions was, I just want to be healthy. I just want to be a good person, I want to be a good daughter, a good best friend. I just want to be healthy. I want to live a long life, right? But I don't know if prisons can do that for you. And maybe you can enlighten me as well. Like, I don't know what's going on in Malaysia right now, like how, and that's why you're here, right? That's why Peluang is here, to share with everybody, like, hey, if you got a problem, you can come and reach out. And we have these programs, we have these people to help you, right? So, ala buka cerita, tapi tak apalah. It's okay. I do talk about a little bit here, not too much in detail, but it was like, my flying.
Actually, I wanted to ask you, like, when your family, they supported you in seeking some help with your drug dependence, and you did go and do that. What did you go to look for? Did you go look for some type of expert or program or something?
No, we didn't. It was just at home. It was at home with my parents, and my friends. I had a few really, really good friends, and just trying my best to stay out of different environments. And it took many, many years. And yeah, I mean, this can be as simple as the addiction of smoking, right? Just for example, smoking cigarettes. Yeah, that's a tough one. That is really a tough one, right? And I'm quite open about it. I used to be a chain smoker. Okay, 15 years plus of chain smoking, and that was pretty tough. Just kind of like quitting, but definitely not cold turkey. It was very gradual, and this is actually a really beautiful thing. I just want to share with everyone. I feel like when you want to quit something, it's best if, I mean, for me, to go gradually. And even in Islam, our religion teaches us that if we want to move away from something, we have to do it gradually, because then it will the impact will be greater, I think. But I guess different people, different style. Cold turkey works well for some people as well, right? So yeah.
Thank you so much, Mizz Nina, for sharing that. Oh, sorry, Gloria, you were saying?
Oh no, I was just going to say, sometimes like cold turkey can be dangerous too. Like people who have quite high levels of dependence to, like, whether it's alcohol or heroin or something. If you suddenly just completely stop using the next day, actually it can have a really negative impact on your health. And actually, it's necessary to gradually, taper off. But then in that case,
case by case thing, right? You can't just
case by case.
Yeah, you can't just be like, okay, everybody who has dependence on drugs, you all get this one treatment. I think that's
there's no such thing as one treatment fits all. Because like not everyone like Mizz Nina said, she didn't require any professional rehabilitation or something. She has a very strong support system. Alhamdulillah, she had that. But not everyone has that. There are people who have families who are not supportive, or who have very negative surroundings, environments and stuff, So it's really is a case by case thing.
Yes.
I think an interesting to mention as well is like because we talk about should they go to prison or should they go to rehab centers, but even rehab centers itself, there's different types, right? You have
Yep.
compulsory rehab centers, and
That's the
that
mandatory
you could
rehab centers, yeah.
yeah, in many ways you could say that's not very helpful as well, right? Because if you take away that autonomy, I think arguably that removes the power. I mean, of course, case by case, it could work for some people, but arguably, it's not as effective as voluntary community-based treatment. For example, at Pangase, right? I think that's quite an
True.
important thing to think about as well. And thank you, Ms. Nina, for sharing. And I'm really glad that I think all of us are glad that you had that strong support system. And Leah, if you don't mind, was that the same for you as well? Like in your, in your active recovery for the 4 years, what helped you want to reach out for help? I think that's it's
Okay.
important.
So Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is the story of how I actually got into recovery after many years of struggling with addiction. I realized that I don't recognize myself anymore. That's one of the things that hit me hard. Um, it's not just the fact that when I look in the mirror, I don't see myself. It's I don't feel like I am me anymore. You know, I stopped feeling joy in the things that I used to enjoy. I quit doing a lot of things that was fulfilling to me. I used to enjoy like hiking, outdoor activities and stuff like that. I just stopped doing everything, and I was not me. So and at one point, um, because of like falling into depression, and then the substance abuse was not helping with the mental health issue. So I had an episode, I had a suicidal thought, and that was the biggest moment where I was like, whoa, this is not who I am. You know, like thinking about ending it and stuff like that is just not who I am. So that was when I knew I needed help. And for me to decide to go for a residential treatment, the the decision was made because I wanted to sort of cut off the connection to the entire world, and knowing the fact that if I get into a residential treatment program, I do not have contact with anyone else. I would be just there focusing on myself, trying to get better, doing whatever it takes, to get better. So that was when I decided to go to Pangasi. And alhamdulillah, I'm still in active recovery now. But I I would say I'm lucky because the decision that I made to check myself into Pengase, there's a very strong support system there itself, because it's an entire community of former drug users. The entire place, the entire NGO from top to bottom is run by former drug users. So everyone there understands whatever nonsense that I say I may feel, everyone understands. So it's a really supportive environment. There's no judgments, and then you're free to just like let out whatever you feel. And also alhamdulillah, I am very 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 blessed to have a family who is very supportive. And um, currently my friends, I keep a very small circle now. I pick and choose my friends. So those who I keep close with me are very supportive, and these are the kind of friends that, like Miss Nina said, if they see me out of line, they'll tell me off. They will just tell me off. And I mean, back then, if there were people who tried this, but I couldn't see it. To me, I was like, you're annoying. Why are you saying all these things? But now, whenever I have
Over
friends who say these
time,
things,
with support,
yeah,
yeah.
so when I have friends today that says this kind of thing in my face, I feel grateful because I know they care. They truly care.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I compared to most of the people that I've met in Pangasi, not everyone has the same support, even from their closest family members. So it's good that in Pangasi we have a very strong community. So for those who does not get the support required outside, like from their family, from their friends, they can always fall back to the pengasih community. So yeah, I think uh, after all the things that I've done and after all this years of struggle, I am so blessed that I am given the opportunity to, you know, flip over and start new. And yeah, my family has been a huge part of this, and I can't thank them enough.
That's great.
So
Yeah,
it's a humbling experience, you know, because I think back in the days, felt like a king most of the time. Like I can do whatever I want in the world, and no one can touch me. But now I know how small I am and how fragile I am. So I'm very careful with the people I hang out with. I'm very selective of, you know, who I talk to, what I say to people, what not to say, and then who I spend time with, what I use my time with. So I
Yeah.
actively pick and choose everything in my life right now. And yeah, hoping, working towards being a better Muslim, a better daughter, a better sister. So I'm making my way there, inshallah.
It's just
mashallah.
really encouraging to hear that you have that strong support system, just like Miss Nina as well. So I think, as both of you pointed out, not everybody has that, right? And for the people going through this that might not have a support system, arguably you can't really depend on our existing laws and policies in Malaysia to help them out as well, right? So I guess for that, I wanted to ask Gloria. I think the four of us can agree that a lot of work in Malaysia needs to be done for more encouraging drug policies based on evidence and things like that. But in your opinion, either in a personal capacity or your work with IDPC, why is it hard for Malaysia to have these policies? Like, what can be done? Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean that's a huge question. Yeah, and yeah, I mean if I maybe an easy way to kind of center on is the support don't punish campaign and the two main things that it calls for. I mean, one is around a harm reduction approach. So a harm reduction. I mean, the principle basically is that the approach, whatever intervention you're taking, that it focuses on the harms of whatever that thing is. When it comes to drug use, you're focused on the harms of drug use, and it's not that you don't focus on someone stopping to use drugs, but that's not the only focus. That you're also looking at what are the harms of them using that particular substance, and then you also focus on reducing those harms. So I mean, definitely like needles. The fact that people if you inject drugs, that could, and then you share needles with somebody else, that could lead to HIV. And then you're concerned about trying to prevent HIV. Even if they're still using drugs, you would still want them to not get HIV,
HIV.
if that could be prevented. So I think it's such an important principle to underpin everything else that you're then going to plan, because a lot of the time I think the approach in Malaysia and anywhere, including in Thailand, is that because drugs are seen as bad and drug use is seen as bad and evil, then the focus is so much on just stop using drugs. Whatever you're doing, just stop using drugs. But what about the person as a whole? Like, what if the person has serious mental health issues? What if they don't have support? What if this who's I don't know, they don't have their parents anymore, they don't have anyone else to support them? Do you know what I mean? Like, there are things that are sometimes more important than that person's drug use, and that other things, you need to care about that person and look at that person as a human being, and try to care for them, and not just focus on the drug use. So that's the harm reduction side, and the decriminalization is the other main side, around removing criminal penalties and other forms of punishment. And actually, this was the thing that really struck me when I first started. I've been working with IDPC for 10 years now, and when I first started we looked at the death penalty a lot because people get executed for drug offenses. And then you find out more and more. So, and Malaysia was one of the countries actually where I was like, oh, actually, even if you're not selling drugs, even if you're using drugs, actually the punishment is still incredibly I mean, there's also like this whole range of punishments there. There's the compulsory drug rehabilitation, but then there's also this compulsory community supervision scheme, which sounds
Yes.
kind of harmless, but actually it requires someone to report to either police or some other government authority every 2 weeks or once a month and be subjected to random urine testing. I mean, you kind of feel like, wow, like what did a person do that they had to do this for like up to 2 years? And if they test positive during that 2 years, then it can become a crime and they'll face like, being put in drug rehab or in prison. Like that's huge. I feel like that's huge. Like, how do you expect a person to hold down a job, hold down functional relationships, live with dignity, actually, if they are forced to live in this way? And I forgot again, like Mizz Nina, I forgot what your question was, but yeah, maybe I'll just leave it there for now.
No, it's such an important point. Like the very first thing you talked about is like, why are we so focused on a person's drug use itself, as if that defines them as an individual? Why not look at everything before that, or what led up to that, to that moment, drug use? And even if they do focus on drug use, I think as Leah mentioned, drug use, drug abuse, different things. There's a fine line in between. Just because somebody uses drugs, not necessarily a cause for concern, right? But I suppose focusing on the one that may need help, may need treatment. I think after hearing what Gloria had to share, Miss Nina, like, what do you think of, I think us as a community, right? How receptive are we towards wanting change for our existing policies, that ask for compulsory supervision for 2 years and all that? Like, is there incentive for us to change? And what do you think we can do as a community?
To be honest, I think as a community, not many of us really are aware about it, and I think I really like your point, Gloria, when you talked about, focusing on the why, what happened, not just the harms of it, right? What is the root causes of these addictions, right? Okay, so we're talking about policies now, right? So I think as a community, it is important for us to all understand what's really going on in Malaysia. And yes, we do have very harsh, I think, rules here in Malaysia. And I think in order for us to to push forward, I think it's all about education. I think it's all about really understanding what's going on, and having more conversations like this tonight. In fact, I really didn't know much as well before I came on here today. I was like, okay, maybe I need to go online and do some research. But I was like, you know what, I just wanna talk to you and find out more. So yeah, I think first and foremost, it's about education, it's about awareness. I think I suppose we're not talking about it enough, or maybe I'm not seeing it enough. Maybe on social media or in programs. It has to be amplified, I think, for change to happen. Yeah, I think this is a very good step. What you're doing here with PELUANG and mashallah, like all the things that you're doing. So yeah, I think it's about amplifying the cause, and then the community can then step in and say, oh, okay, this is happening. Well, I want to be a part of this too. I want to be a part of this change. I want to be a part of this movement, right? So yeah, I think that's, yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for that. And I wanted to ask Leah as well. Like, you have been in active recovery for 4 years, and during that time, you have been engaging with other people who may be facing the same thing, other people in active recovery. How do I say this? Like, how do you engage more people to, fight the good fight with you? Because I think a lot of people are still very scared of the topic, right? They're like,
Yeah,
kind of scared to
I
talk
think
about it. So, yeah.
it's conversations like this is one of the platforms where I get to reach out to people. I do um pre-COVID, I went to schools, to high schools, to and talk to the students. Um, Recently, I had a talk with college students, an online conversation, a forum sort of. So these are the platforms that I use to reach out to people. And every time I speak to a group of people, even like this session today, I always say that um, they can reach out to pengasih if they need help, or if they are afraid or they feel that they might be more comfortable talking to me, they can always drop me a DM. They can always reach me out on Facebook. I'm always open. I try my best to help people at all times. And I think because I was very active during my employment in Pangasih, so my phone number is everywhere. So there are people who give, like friends of mine who say, "Hey, I have this cousin or I have this friend who's struggling, and do you think you can talk to him or her?" I said, "Yeah, sure. I'm very open to this." And I guess what we do, what like Pangasih, Peluang, the NGOs, what we are doing, that this fight, this effort, all these campaigns that we are doing, I think it will be more effective if we can have government agencies like Madam or ADK, to have a streamlined objective with us, because the things that we see, we want to educate people to understand that, hey, this is a disease, it's treatable, it can be managed, all you need to do is seek for help. But
Yeah.
there are other campaigns, preventative campaigns, drug prevention campaigns that says otherwise. They are still using scare tactics, which we know it doesn't work, because when I was a kid, I've been seeing all those ads on TV. It says drug addicts who looks like zombies, dadah musuh
Drugs are
negara,
bad.
and
Oh
things like
yes.
that. All those characteristics, it doesn't work. Sadly, unfortunately, those things are still being used today, and they use it for prevention campaigns. So it does not help our fight, and it's really sad to say it's pushing us in the wrong direction. We want to go this way, but we still need support from government agencies, to see our efforts, so it can be streamlined, so we can move in one direction, because the more people talk about this, the more streamlined we are, the easier it is for us to progress and move forward. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And yeah, like growing up, campaigns in school, anti-dada, it's just what we're fed from a very young age. And I think that just
Right.
sums up the war on drugs. Yeah, yeah. So the fear is understandable, but it's not right, right? Like you can understand why people have that fear, but it shouldn't be that way.
And
Sorry, I
that's
think,
funny enough,
yeah.
right? Just to add, like we see, we scare people showing drug addicts who look like zombies and stuff. Yes, the community feels scared. That's why the stigma is there. That's why they are discriminating addicts. But for the people who actually uses drug, who are involved with drug use, they know that addicts do not look like that. So that's the reason why these campaigns are being brushed off by people who are actually involved in drug use. So we know that there are users who look like any one of you and me today, who look completely normal but can be addicted to a substance. So I
Mm.
hope yeah, we can be more streamlined in the future. This is a good
It's got
start.
to be
Mhm.
streamlined from both sides, right? They both have to work
Yeah,
towards the same goal, not one wanting to punish and the other just wanting support,
yeah,
which is what's
yeah,
needed,
true.
right? Sorry,
Yes.
just gonna ask the audience quickly. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment box while we wait for that. Moria, I mean, we talked a lot about government is going this way, but it should go that way. Do you think that's common across, the countries that you observe in Southeast Asia and Asia? Is that something that's not like it's not just Malaysia?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I first started about 10 years ago, and it was here in Thailand, so even the topic of decriminalization, that was quite taboo. And so I think the fact that there are more people who understand what decriminalization is and willing to come into a conversation about it. It shows progress, but also shows how there are actually more conversations about it. I mean, but at the same time, I definitely also take Miss Nina's point about that. Yeah, you don't see a lot of it, and I think my thing is, I mean, this is my world, so I see it all the time, right? And I'm only ever in touch usually with people who do work on it. So obviously, I don't have an objective sense of this, but I do get this because sometimes, and Leah and maybe you do too, when you talk to someone who's very new to, who's not working in the drug related field kind of thing, and they're hearing what you have to say, and it's so foreign to them. And I kind of wonder what is the opposite. I mean, there is the drug prevention campaign for sure, but there are other things too. I mean, if I could just point to, like in some countries, there's oppression of civil society, and like freedom of expression, freedom of speech is not necessarily there. And when a government pushes hard on a war on drugs approach, there's not necessarily that space for someone to say, actually, I don't agree. Like, and if I was to say, if I like Singapore, right? I mean, Singapore in already has like less, I guess, freedoms to speak out than in Malaysia and other countries in the region. But they also passed a law, I think it was last year or the year before, specifically on drugs, and it's about people talking about drugs in ways that could be seen as promoting the use of drugs. And that just, so I mean, even me trying to talk about harm reduction or decriminalization, that potentially violates that law. And can you imagine the kind of restriction that places on the kind of dialogue that you can have? And if you're not having those dialogues, then people are not thinking about, people are not able to come up with different perspectives about drugs. And if I can look at, say, the Philippines, for example, you know, when the war on drugs is the kind of the centerpiece of the administration's, the current president's campaign, and still a key feature of their administration, like being tough on drugs, killing people who are suspected of drugs. And then also that extends to killing activists and civil society, human rights defenders, journalists, lawyers, judges.
Yeah.
Like that kind of environment, it takes a lot of courage to be able to be willing to speak out and to say, no, what the government is saying is not true, it's not right.
Right.
So I think I wanted to point that out, that makes it really difficult. In Thailand, you have a better climate now, because you have a health minister that supports all these reforms to cannabis for sure, because Thailand legalized cannabis for medical purposes. And kratom, this other substance, I think is called kitam in Malaysia.
Yes.
So it's illegal in Malaysia, but Thailand is decriminalizing it. It will be effective as of August this year. So there's definitely space to talk more about substances and potentially different approaches there. And it's so awesome to see conversations like this happening in Malaysia. But I think it's definitely challenging in the region because it's so politicized in many contexts. Yeah.
I think.
Wow.
I don't want to say it's. Sorry. Go on, Miss Nina.
No, just about how it's really hard to express in different countries, right? Certain things you can say, certain other things you can't say, and therefore there's a lot of missing conversations. Thank you for shedding some light on that. I had no idea about that about Singapore, but subhanAllah, like I can see in every different country there's different ways in which the government I suppose the way they treat it. So and I really like what Leah was saying, that it's good if you can get them streamlined, right? So you have the NGOs and the government working together, and I suppose in every field, in every in every way. You wanted to say something, Hanna?
No. Sorry, go ahead. Please go ahead. Yeah.
No. I just want to say thank you for shedding light, because I had no idea.
I think what I like about this chat is that we've got different perspectives, right? We've got the policy side, regional, and in Malaysia, personal experiences as well. So I think after an hour of this, I'm really curious to hear what the audience thinks, after us talking. we've got a poll question here, just the same one as we had at the very start. I believe all people who use drugs need to go to prison or compulsory detention. We've got 4 options. Again, voting is completely anonymous. So while the audience votes, I see that it's already 10 p.m., so almost going to wrap up. I wanted to ask Gloria, Leah, Mizz Nina, do you have any final thoughts? Anyone can go first.
I would like to thank you guys for having me here, and I'm really glad we had this conversation, and I hope that there will be more initiatives like this continuously, and we have to keep the conversation going. And I would like to see more and more people openly discussing this. You don't have to agree with me, but just discuss about it. I want this to happen because I know for a fact that there are a lot of people out there who wants help, who needs help, but they don't know where to go. They're too afraid, or they're just ashamed of the stigma and discrimination. So I think the more open we are about these conversations, it encourages people to be brave to reach out, I guess. Yeah.
Mhm. So yeah, I just want to say thank you as well to everyone here for spending your time with us. Thank you to Hanna, Leah, and Gloria, and to Pengasih and Peluang. And just a message of hope, I guess, for everyone here, or if you know anyone who's struggling with something, that there's always hope in the tunnel, right? It doesn't have to be at the end of the tunnel. It can be in the middle. It can be anywhere. There's always hope. There's always light, right? And you can see like Leah is here, and mashallah, I'm so proud of you that you are 4 years down and you're doing fantastic and amazing. And we can see that people turn around. People turn around. There's always hope. A person who we can be, good citizens of the community, and give back. So there's always hope. There's always love, and do reach out. Everyone who's watching right now, make sure to follow Pengasih and Peluang and tell your friends and your family all about it, inshallah. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's really hard to follow up with Mizz Nina. Maybe I just think, yeah, thank you very much for this super cool format as well. Like I also feel privileged to be invited into a space, that young people have set up and created and pushed forward, and it's inspiring to see your work. And I'm so stoked that I can tell people I've been part of a Pillow Talk now, because I've never I haven't really done it. It's really cool.
More to come.
Yeah, I think maybe to follow on from the encouragements from Mizz Nina and Leah, just to say keep asking questions and keep talking and keep digging and trying to getting to the truth and of and if you're you're motivated by, I think, all of us here, in actually just trying to make things better and kinder for people in the society, and that's really great. So thank you
so much. No, thank you so much, all 3 of you. It's been such a pleasure tonight. So the results are in from the poll that we just had. Quick recap: at the start of this live, the stats were in response to whether all people who use drugs should go to prison or compulsory detention. 0% agree, kind of agree 20%, kind of disagree 20%, disagree 60%, right? So now at the end of the session, agree 0%, kind of agree 17%, kind of disagree 22%, disagree 61%. So interestingly, it's still quite similar, and I think that just reinforces that we need to have more of these pillow talks and just more conversations. It doesn't have to be alive; it can be talking to your families, your friends. Just as the 3 of you rightfully said, just keep the conversation going. So thank you, of course, the 3 of you. And I also want to take this opportunity to again thank our partners, Cheria, Nafnang, for inviting Mizz Nina to be with us tonight, and for all their help throughout Support Don't Punish Week and moving forward. Pengasih, SLED, Ayaku Dr. G, Malaysian AIDS Council. Also want to thank everyone who joined us here tonight, Saturday night. I mean, I know it's lockdown. There's not really much else you can go, where not other places you can go, but still very, very honored that you decided to join us tonight. So thank you so much. Final shout out. Please, anybody tuning in, tell your friends and family about us. We're very new, but we're so excited to move forward. Follow us on our social media at Pilih Peluang. Visit us on our website, pilihpeluang.my, and you can sign up to be an active voice. We'll give periodic updates where you can participate with us and join us in getting the conversation going. So I think that concludes our Pillow Talk for tonight. Thank you again, Leah. Thank you, Mizz Nina. And thank you, Gloria. Thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you.
Have a nice weekend.
Okay, good night. Bye. Take care.
Bye. You too. Good night.